welcome back. This is part 11 of the video work logs. On today's build, we're going to take a step back in the design process and do a reconstruction on the front panel. And the reason for this is going to give us better access for cable management and replace some of those LEDs if they burn out, and just a little bit better design for future modulation of this PC. I got some designs drawn up for us today, so if you want to follow me over on our workstation, I'll show you what we got planned for today. Alright, looking down here on my pin display, you can see the illustration that we're going to work on today. This is going to be the front entrance of the PC of the interior door frame. We're going to construct two LED control panels. They're going to go on opposite sides of each of the door with a couple illuminated LED panels inside the control panels. And then up here we're going to create this lighting system that's going to shine down right on the front entrance of the doorway. We'll be modding the interior of the PC as well, so this will be visible from the interior of the PC. This installment is going to take over a couple episodes of the construction of the entire front panel, and this is going to be the first part of part 11. So let's go ahead and head over to my workstation and get this part constructed. Alright, to get today's project started, I'm going to use a 0.6mm stock styrene that I have cut down to 12 inches by 16 inches. And the first thing I want to do on this styrene is go ahead and lay out a 1 inch by 1 inch grid pattern. And the reason for that is that's what all our support structures are going to fall on. And I'm just going to line up each one of those support structures along that grid pattern so everything is plumb and level and just lined up perfectly. Alright, I'm just starting the reconstruction on the front panel. The reason I'm doing this is there were some changes on the front panel that I wanted to make, and I just needed to go ahead and make those changes now before I continued on the rest of the build. To quote one of my good friends, Lazy Man from West Coast Mods, good enough is not good enough. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and reconstruct this front panel and configure some of the wiring, housing, and the cable management just a little bit better for this project. So what I'm doing right now is just marking out 1 inch squares so I can build all my support structures on top of those measurements. That way they're plumb and level, and just start building up my support structures, cutting out those beams and start gluing them to the panels here. Alright, what I'm doing here is just marking out my my support structures, my columns that are going to be cut out that are going to brace the two panels together. And I'm just cutting these down to about 8.5 inches in length, and just doing a light little scribe on the panels, and then I can just go back and just like snap these off. Alright, I got my support brackets cut out. I got about 8 or so of them in here, and what I need to do right now is just sand these down so they're completely perfect. If they're off at all, there's going to be a wave on my panel. So I got to make sure that these are just completely smooth and they match each other perfectly. That way the structure is nice and true and plumb and level on all areas. So I'm just going to sand these down a little bit and get these matched up, and then we can start gluing our support structures together. Right now I'm just starting to work on my support structures here. I'm just cutting down these pieces to a 1 inch by 1 inch in size, and then just adding them to my frame outline here. I'm using a 0.06mm stock styrene, and this is a pretty thick styrene. It's going to give us a real strong base and good structural integrity on this part of the build. Right, as I look down my structure here, we're starting to build up the first panels of supports. And what I need to do right now is start working on some of the vertical ones here and some of the bottom structures as well. But as you can see, this piece is very rigid and very strong. There's no wave in it at all. It follows that line, those lines true, and it's a very strong piece. So I'm much happier with this part of the build so far. And as I continue here, this is just going to work out a lot better for me. So I'm glad I took the time to go ahead and rebuild this part of the build. Right now I'm just starting working on some of the panel outlines here. I'm just creating the front entrance right now that's just going to be attached to the main panel here. And I just got the areas marked out and drawn out here, and I'm just using my size 11 X-Acto blade just to cut those areas out. Alright, a couple packages arrived in the mail today from my good friend and subscriber Model Man Tom here on YouTube. He has a great channel called Model Works where he specifies in building a lot of sci-fi model builds. And what he sent us today is a bunch of extra model pieces that he's no longer using and some just household plastic and various computer parts and such. And I guess the term is called Greeblaze. The term was coined from Industrial Light and Magic's special effects artists that worked on the original Star Wars film. And we just got a lot of great pieces that are going to come in handy in this build. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is this little control panel here. I can backlight these with some LEDs and we can get some really cool panel effects off this piece right here. And he also sent us a bunch of LEDs and fiber optic cable as well. There's a ton of heat shrink wrap in here, resistors, blue, red, flashing, green, warm light, cool light. Enough LEDs in here to illuminate a small city. So if you guys don't know who Model Man Tom is, head over to his channel. Here's a link to his channel right here. And he does some really amazing sci-fi model builds. Right now he's actually working on his own car. He's modding his own project car to make it look like a car fighter from one of the Star Wars films. It's a pretty amazing thing. You know, I don't have the guts to go that far to mod your own car out, but it's turning out really amazing. You should head over there and check that out. But I just want to send a very special thanks to him for all these parts. They're going to come in really handy in this build. So let's go ahead and get started working on our doorway right now. And we're just going to build up around here, attach some of those LEDs that Tom sent us in here, and start building out on these panels. Alright, I'm just taking these 1-inch width strips here, and I'm just going to cut them down the length, design the interior of our door panel. And what we're going to do is cut out some areas in here and create some steam pipes and vents and some computer control panels from the model pieces that Model Man Tom sent us. And then we'll just backlight them right with here with some LEDs, and it's going to illuminate the interior of the door panels there. So what I need to do right now is just go ahead and cut out the designs I want, get the model pieces selected, and start building up these panels. Alright, and just to create some detail on these panels here, I'm going to use these old metal pieces from the Alienware memory modules, and they'll just fit right over the top of our styrene pieces here. And this is going to give us a lot of paneling detail and a lot of detail to the piece. Once you paint that over, you know, you won't even know it's a piece from an old memory module. And then I'll cut some areas out in here with my Dremel so the LEDs can shine through, and we'll create up some control panels in there and maybe some steam pipes coming out of these walls. But it's little pieces like this, you know, little household common pieces of plastic and metal that'll really detail your project out. You don't need to go and spend a lot of money on you know, molded plastic model pieces. It's just things like this, you know, common scrap pieces that you can get some really cool detail from. Right now I'm just creating the lenses for the control panels here. I'm just using this clear piece of Lexan glass, and that will just go right inside that control panel there, but I just need to do a little bit of sanding on that and then just buff that out so it fits right there in the lens. And then I can use a little control panel piece here, and that will be backlit with an LED, and it should be a pretty cool effect when we're all finished. So let me go ahead and get this sanded down and get it buffed out, and then we can get it installed just like we did right on this one here. Alright, right in here where the plastic meets up with the piece of glass here, there's a little bit of a gap, and you can kind of see the cut edge of the plastic there. And the way that we're going to fix that, and we're just going to put a mask over it and then just add some putty into those seams and sand it down a little bit, and then we'll just spray right over that and just making a perfect fit between the two panels. Alright, while the putty's drying on our control panels, I'm going to go ahead and work on our light fixtures here that are going to go behind the panels. I just sprayed a little bit of film gray over the top of this because I'm going to start creating my first color mask on these things.
These are actually just a couple of spacers I used for a wall mount on a stereo system, and I really liked the design on this, and I wasn't using these anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and use these to hold my LEDs. What I want to do is go ahead and create a tape mask now and then spray over it with my final color. Alright, what I need to work on now is just the panel back here. This is going to hold our little light fixtures that we just finished up. I actually still need to finish up some texturing and weathering effects on these, and then these will be complete. Then I can install the LEDs right in the bottom here. And the idea is once we finish the construction of the panel or the bracket that's going to hold these are just going to slide right up here into the entrance of the doorway. And that will just be illuminated. Those LEDs will illuminate the entire entrance here, and both these control panels will be illuminated as well. And the idea is the back panel is just going to go on just like so, and this will be the interior of the PC here, and then we'll build up the walls within here, add a bunch of paneling detail on the interior of the PC because we're going to be modding the interior as well. And this will be the main entrance, and I'll have a couple doors that are going to open and close, and maybe a 80mm fan intake to bring some air in or blow some air out. I haven't decided on that yet, but let's go ahead and finish up this bracket here. I'm just going to use a little bit of my stock styrene, my 0.80mm, and use some round stock and maybe some square stock to build up some brackets. So let's go ahead and get some holes drilled out here to hold the brackets and get this part constructed. Alright, we're just going to finish up part 11 by adding some V-groove paneling detail on the interior of the PC right behind these control panels, because we're going to be modding the interior of this PC as well. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in these videos, rating and subscribing. I'll have the second part of part 11 out to you guys shortly. I really do appreciate your patience. Special thanks to my subscribers here on YouTube, but very special thank to my sponsor, MMPC Tech. Stay inspired, guys. Keep creating, and I'll see you soon.